So this is where the goats are going next. Over here you can see, you know, the amount of brush there is, and this is where they have been. You can see same trees, they're just scalped as high as they can get. Same thing here. This was all thick leaves, full of leaves. It's scalped up on that hill up there. I'll see if I can zoom in. You can see it. They've taken care of it, so they're going over here next, probably within the next 2 weeks. There's a giant creek bed that runs through here, and that creek bed alone should be able to sustain these, I don't know, probably about 250 sheep and goats that are all in here now. They're not lazy. They work for a living out here on straight brush and pasture. They're kidding, they're lambing, and they're raising these babies out here on acres and acres of land, not up in a barn. So here's a good example on how the goats don't really compete with the cows for grass and stuff. The goats will get in here and they'll clean the heck out of this cedar tree as high as they can get. And then you look around and you see all this grass. A week or two ago this all was green, but we've hit 90s here in Texas. I think yesterday it was 98. The real feel was 98. It was hot. So all that ryegrass is burning out, and hopefully the goats lay some of it down and give a chance to have the warm season stuff come up. But up here on this rocky hill, all this stuff is munched down pretty good. I mean, they've started getting after these mesquites. They got after all this brush here, more cedars, all these little thorny brush, like I don't even know what kind of bush that is, but they clean it off pretty good. Back up here there's a fence line that we couldn't get to, but we can get to it now because the goats cleaned it up so much. Look at this. But it's a trek up here for sure. We're coming back here. We have had a couple of goats get their heads stuck in some of this fence for whatever reason, but this stuff right here is perfect stuff to keep their hooves trimmed down. But it's pretty up here. And here's a good little thicket of brush that was all taken over. And look at that. Pretty awesome to see. See if we can find our way back here. Look at all this. This is prime goat country back up in here. Yeah, here's that fence line that we couldn't get to. But they cleaned this whole little thicket up to the point where we can actually see the fence over here. Look at this. They got all up in there and stripped every little leaf. All these bushes, plucked off all their leaves, trying to come back with new buds. But we're probably going to move them out of this pasture here. We try and move them right as they start trying to nibble on that grass. I mean, you can see there's plenty of grass back up in here. But this is about the time we like to move them, so probably in about 2 weeks or so we're going to move them. Here's that fence line I was talking about we couldn't get to, but we can get to it now. But they definitely put in some work back here. They're not lazy. They work for a living out here on straight brush and pasture. They're kidding, they're lambing, and they're raising these babies out here on acres and acres of land, not up in a barn. You know, we see a lot of those folks out there say, you know, grass fed or stuff like that, sheep and goat, but then you get into their area and you see that they're kidding in a little 2x2 little stall. You know, you're really not testing the genetic ability of those animals if you're babying them up in a barn. If you want animals that are going to work and thrive, you want to see what they can do in environments like this. You want to see them have their kids and lambs out on pasture, out on rugged terrain, making it with little to no inputs. This time of year, we're only giving the goats mineral, free choice mineral. Sweet Licks Meat Maker is what it is. So you guys are out there listening to me, Sweet Licks, sponsor me. But Tyler is walking her way up here. We did lose a goat. There are hunters on this property, so they have some hog cow panel around one of their feeders, and we lost a nanny goat with her head stuck back up in here. She had a kid. Her kid was with her, still alive, so we brought the kid back up to the house to try and save the kid, obviously because the mother was no longer living. But you know, that's part of it. You know, it's definitely part of it. You're going to lose animals. Not everything's going to make it. She was one that we had here and raised. She's a little bit more docile, so very sad to see her move on. But hopefully her little kid makes it. She had a little nanny kid. I mean, but just look at all this grass here, and then you look at the brush, and then you look up here in this little shaded area. All that brush that they can get to is gone. We still have some work to do on that guy, but all this stuff right here is eaten down. You can see they've broke it off while trying to stand on it and eat it. Yeah.
She's got a new baby up there. She's not running.
All this was covered. Go back and look at some of the videos when we just put them in here on how thick it was. You couldn't see through it, but all these little bushes are scalped. But the main reason we came out here today was to grab a couple nannies for the Spanish goat gathering. We're going to take some yearling nannies. We're going to try and bring 10 of them home, and then we'll bring them back out here. We'll throw them back out, and we'll kind of keep track of their tag numbers and watch them progress out here on the pasture. So this is where the goats are going next. Over here you can see, you know, the amount of brush there is, and this is where they have been. You can see same trees, they're just scalped as high as they can get. Same thing here. This was all thick leaves, full of leaves. It's Scout up on that hill up there. I'll see if I can zoom in. You can see they've taken care of it. So they're going over here next, probably within the next 2 weeks. There's a giant creek bed that runs through here, and that creek bed alone should be able to sustain these, I don't know, probably about 250 sheep and goats that are all in here now. But there'll be plenty in there, plenty of shade to keep them cool during the heat that is on its way. But then they'll also have the availability to eat some of this burnt out rye, and also a lot of thistle up here that's going to be eaten by them. What you got there?
These are one of our first sets of twins in the Painted Desert sheep. We got a little girl, solid black, not a speck of white. And we got a little boy.
Little white star.
Yeah, he said, I'm pretty fancy. Her mom is kind of wild, so this is like the one opportunity I have to grab them. Because she's busy eating. I don't even know where she is. So, there they are. They're pretty cute.